Okay, Nick. So, Nick, today we're talking about we're getting together. So, everybody, we're just trying to figure out how to start this. So, you guys know I'm Monica Anderson, and this is a Quantum Living New Earth podcast. And today I'm really excited because you guys loved the conversation that I had with Nick. I don't even know when it was. When was it, Nick?
Probably September sometime.
Yeah, it was just a few months ago, but everything feels like one day ago, 1 week ago feels like could be a lifetime ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, time definitely is speeding up a lot.
Yeah, so time's speeding up. So Nick is is a member of Reality Shifters, and he is on TikTok and everywhere that he lives his life on. But him and I have connected, and we're on TikTok, and we're on our own spiritual journey, and we work through our life, through the information that we're all contributing to the reality shifters and combining. But Nick has been walking this journey in a similar fashion, and I can feel him and he can feel me, like we're telepathically speaking. Don't you think, Nick?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring Nick on here. It just came to my heart to ask him if he would come on again and just talk. I just want to talk. We were talking about Lumeria and Stargates and all this stuff going on with Hawaii yesterday. And I've been really entrenched in Hawaii, even though I don't have like a thing about it. Like Allison, who is going to be on here and who co-hosts sometimes, she has obsession with Hawaii. But I
Oh,
asked
really?
Nick about Hawaii, and he was like, well, yeah, I kind of feel like there's something about that place. So we were talking about that. And Nick, just talk about how, like, where are you at? Like, are you like with all this? Like, where do we begin in the conversation? It's like the UFOs, seeing UFOs now. Now it's like everybody's seeing them or orbs. How is that translated to you? What are you doing? Like Nick has children, right? How old are your kids? So let's tell me a little bit about like your kids and like your overall experience, and then let's see what conversations we get into that can help people.
Okay. I guess I can start with my ascension process.
Yeah.
Like for the past 2 months, like it's kind of like been like a slow dial, like turning up a light. Like
Hmm.
I can feel everybody's energy now, and like when I walk into a room, like everybody just like kind of stops and looks, and like oh, it's kind of funny.
You're like, do I have something on my shirt?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, really kind of put their head down a little bit, and then oh,
Yep.
it's kind of funny.
How does that make you feel? Because that's actually a huge topic. Once you start ascending and your energy rises and you walk into a room and people can feel it, people start responding to you. Maybe it doesn't feel like in necessarily the best way, or you're confused.
No, I feel good about it. It's almost like they can kind of feel my energy, and they like kind of brings up their light a little bit. That's kind of like what I feel from it.
Good, good. So, how
Yeah.
about your kids? Like, how has this been going through this massive transformation internally that's completely changed you? Like, I didn't know you before, right? So, but obviously, you're totally different dad, totally different person. How is that? How has that manifested itself with your kids and interacting with them and what you choose to do with them and all these kind of things?
Well, I mean, I woke up to like the whole system when I was pretty young, probably like 16, 17. So like I found out about food, the medical industry, just everything, products, clothing. So that's definitely helped them a lot. Like they don't ever get sick really.
Hmm.
Like, what kind of food, like what not to eat and stuff.
Are
But
your
then,
kids, are your kids, so are your kids in like vaccinated and did you start off where they
no,
got vaccinated before you transitioned?
no, they were never vaccinated.
Oh, good. So you're lucky that you have like my daughter, my 6-year-old isn't vaccinated, but my adult kids that are 28 and 25, I think, they are partially vaccinated. But my oldest, who's 28, who doesn't speak to me anymore right now, I guess, whatever. She almost died from vaccines. Got pneumococcal meningitis when she was 18 months. And that's part of the reason why I'm here today, because I went through all that and seeing that change, you know? So a lot of parents have been through
Yeah.
that, in these last 4 or 5 years. And now we're getting this revelation and this wake up call that all of these things, the vaccines, the food, because I didn't even realize, even though, I'm a holistic coach in food and all the like worked in food, knew it was bad. I didn't realize until these last few years how dramatically that this is not, it's not like, oh, I can't have this. Oh, I'm allergic to this. No, they're just systematically poisoning
Oh yeah.
humanity.
Oh yeah, I
And
can
the
see it.
children take the brunt. What's up?
Yeah, I can see it like through everybody, like what they drink and what they eat, and then how that affects their aura, and just I can just tell like how you're doing and how like your ascension process and like how you're feeling.
Yeah. So it's like as you rise in frequency, you're able to see it like Nick's saying, like I can just look at somebody and I know basically what they eat, what they, their basic lifestyle. It's
Yeah,
crazy because it's like it's all about frequency. And so it's like if you're around this certain kind of frequency, you look a certain way, it manifests itself in a certain kind of a way. But I'm just loving to see our kids. It's like I have like um a thing now. Like I'm trying to go through this ascension myself. Well, I'm not trying, I am.
yeah,
I'm going through it and I feel like I've successfully kind of gotten over the personal ascension part, and now it's just putting it to work. But seeing my daughter and then having my husband going through it, that they're going through it at different paces. And I don't know. It's just been, I think it's been a little bit tricky raising my daughter within it's tricky to raise your children when you think this way, when you know the truth,
yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
And it's like they want candy or they want this. And it's like I just that part of it I do kind of right now. It's just a little bit difficult. You can't just go out like you used to and like go get lunch somewhere, go get an ice cream or whatever. Because it's all and they don't understand that.
Yeah,
And I've had to let Nat like because of what I'm doing and I feel like this is what I do is work with humanity and whatever my coaching. And so Nat's obviously being taken care of, but I don't take care of her like I did my other kids, where I did nothing but take care of them, you know? Like
yeah,
everything was about them. And that was a big mistake because now they're adults and they're doing their own thing. And so I had to come up with my own thing. But that's what's leading us to how we're all going into this new world where we're going to have this technology that all the moms and dads that are sacrificing their life, cleaning and all this kind of stuff, so they feel like they don't have time to figure out who they are.
yeah,
Like my thing has been I got to figure out who I am and then um take inspired actions on my gifts and give them out to humanity. But it was like a thing about, well, what about my daughter? I need to raise her, like as if I couldn't do both. But I had to sacrifice. What I'm getting to is that I had to sacrifice a little bit or a lot really, but I had to sacrifice her health a little bit because I had to just be okay with, that my husband was going through this and learning this.
okay,
You know what I mean? And he's like
yeah,
feeding her things because he's going through this and he doesn't necessarily it's not like it was a sinister thing. Like he's like, I don't believe you. I'm giving her chips or I'm giving her red dye. Um, even though she would throw up taking it, and I'd be like, I had to just let that happen. I had to let that happen so that
Like,
he could learn, huh?
what does he think? It's okay? Like it's
Well, he does it now. He does it and he didn't, but he was, he was under the programming. He
yeah,
was under this is what I was like, I'm saying it's like it's hard to raise kids when you know this stuff, you're living it, and then you're whoever else is taking care of them, they're not on the same, they're not like us, right, Nick? They're not like us.
no, definitely not.
See what I mean? And it's not to be rude. It's not to be rude. And it's not to be like, that whole thing in our group. It's not that I'm better than everybody else. I don't think I'm better than everybody else. You don't think you're better than everybody else, but you have a higher awareness and consciousness that needs to be listened to when it comes to your kids. But when we have this other person or other people, like if you decide to let them watch TV or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever influences they are, they're not this that you and I have
Yeah,
and that we are developing. Do you know what I mean, Nick?
yeah, definitely.
And it's just, it's for me, I've had moments where I've just had to surrender that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm raising her in the light, and that Derek is going to come along
Yeah, is he
if
doing
he
pretty good, or
what's that?
is he doing pretty good? Like, what does he think about all
Oh
this stuff?
yeah. Well, Derek's, I mean, his like people want us to do, and I want us to do a show together, but he's not somebody that, how he's not somebody that necessarily comes out, but he's had this huge transformation, which by the way, we are all saying, other people, men and stuff in our group that we talk to, we say this is like we're coming out. Like it's like we have to come out, as like these spiritual people or something. Um, but Derek is, it's just like, so he's evolving into, oh, this is like a thing. But he has lost over 100 pounds. Like it's
Wow.
been unbelievable. Um, because he does all the light therapy. He's given up. So I've known him for 10 years, exactly 10 years. Well, I mean, but I've been on this path of changing since 2014. So I've known him. I met him in 2015. Uh, and he was like ordering pizza. He's like this like indulgent executive, that just, orders the pizza, sits on the computer, does a little bit of work. It's like we flew all around the world and he does whatever meetings, it's all just dumb. It's all meaningless. It's like has nothing. So now his life has meaning. Now he's out there. He's gardening. He's doing stuff with the bunnies, making sure they have heat, and he loves it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what I love too.
Yeah. Because that's how we are. We love to be in nature, right? We want to
Oh,
be in nature. And it's like the village that I want to create. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be people who want to live, not these big ostentatious houses, where we all live separately
yeah.
and see our neighbor. I don't even see. Do you see your neighbors? I don't even see my neighbors ever.
No, never. They're not very nice though. So
Yeah. Well, we all know about my neighbors.
yeah.
They wanted to shoot my peacock, so they're on my naughty list.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have to have our peacocks. We had to net from the roof of our house. And, we have this huge house, the roof of our house to the gates, whatever. We just have this whole thing set up. They're all netted in. Yeah, because the neighbor, he took pictures. So we have 4 peacocks now. And this is when we had 2 stellar lumens, named them after XLM.
Okay.
And They would fly over. Lumens is the boy. And Lumens would fly over. Well, they both would fly over and sit on his carport because peacocks, they just want to see, they want to
Yeah.
see over. His carport is like destroyed. It's old, rundown. But he took pictures, called the police,
Wow.
all this stuff. The police came over and told us they had a stack of pictures of all the incidences of our peacocks.
Yeah.
Never, but see, this is where the unity consciousness and this is how things are changing. So this story is actually perfect because if he would have come over right when because we were doing everything, we don't want our peacocks to go over there because peacocks do fly, but they don't fly like where they're just flying around forever.
Yeah. Hover.
Yeah, they fly over to things. And they do leave. They did leave. Like they would fly. But what I'm saying is they're not flying like
Yeah.
for a while. But if he would have came over and said, "Oh my goodness, your peacocks are coming over, could you blah blah blah, like whatever."
Yeah.
And this was going on for months and he never said anything, got the police involved, and then they took us to court.
Really.
Oh my God, it was so hilarious. And so for the audience, I live in a tiny ghost town, tiny town. Nobody's running anything. They just pretend. But at the time, this goes in, my husband was going through his awakening and he was still really nervous. He's like, oh my God. And he's all putting on his collared shirt and he was like sweating going to court for
Yeah.
these peacocks. Because I couldn't go to the courts because I had already had the town already had found out about that I existed and they think I'm a witch and all this, So I couldn't go. I couldn't go to the court myself. Well, and if I would have, I would have just shut it all down. So, but Derek went there. The judge, he literally
Yeah.
walks in. It's literally like Barney Fife, like Andy Griffin. He goes in there. The sheriff, I mean, the judge is sitting there with shorts on, cargo shorts, and his feet up on the table. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, let's do this case. And he's like, I don't know if you can have this peacock. And then the next week, they took it to the city council, which are like
Yeah.
six people that they decided that all got together and decided that they get to decide what 3,000 people do in this town.
Yeah.
So they all voted. Okay, this town's been here since the first was established in like 18 something. But anyway, they passed a big ordinance that you're not allowed to have peacocks. Woo! It's like, of course not. So Derek's like, oh, we have peacocks. Then they came over and gave us a parking ticket for the peacock.
Really.
They wrote it down, and then they used my husband's height and weight to describe the peacock. uh, so I eventually called up. I was like, okay, I let this go on for months. And I mean, Derek was like nervous because he didn't want to have to get rid of the peacocks, and they were threatening that they're like, we can kill these peacocks. So he was really worried that they would, because the sheriff said to my husband at the court, like really rude, we can shoot them if they're on our property, and
That's
we
great.
will. And that how that made me feel.
Yeah.
So then when he comes over and gives that parking ticket, because we were like, we're not getting rid of them, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, we are not complying with any of this, because you guys have made this up. Called
Yeah.
up the sheriff. He answered the phone. And I was like, ooh, just the man I want to talk to. And he, of course, he was just disgusted with me. But I told him finally, I just said, we're not getting rid of the peacock. You have no authority over us. I go, we're in a restored republic, and you cannot tell us anything.
Yeah.
He ended up hanging up on me.
Really?
And guess what? Haven't heard a word since. That was about a year ago.
Good.
Haven't heard a word since, but we do have our peacocks netted. Like we netted our house because, we don't want to, it's like until this whatever is over with.
Yeah.
Because it's really feeling like more and more, Nick, that we're gonna expand here into this village. So this town is about 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
It's actually in the shape of a circle. Isn't that crazy? If you
Really?
look up this town, it's in the shape of a circle, which
I,
I've always said I want to design the village as a mandala. So, do you know the mandala is like a thought form? I was thinking that we could do, like the center of it is the healing center, and then just have like all these sections. I mean, you know
yeah.
how mandala has sections,
Yeah.
and each section would be a different part of the village, have something different in it. Um, but we found this village that was created in 1993. It's called the Rabbit Village or something like that, where people have stores and they have schools and people live on this town. It's in, I don't remember where it is, in Missouri, I think. It's in Missouri.
They have it
And
right
they,
now.
what's that?
They have it right now set up.
Yeah, so it's actually, let me tell you the name of it because I wanted to talk to you about this. So the name of Allison actually just sent me the information and I watched their, so the name of it is called the Dancing Rabbit Eco Village. And here it is. Intentional living. I'm going to send this to you just so you can watch it and see because this is kind of what I'm thinking, but in a more not like they're doing it like where they're off gridding. What do you call it? Homesteading
Yeah.
off grid. They don't know anything about technology. And so they don't know, like they're sitting there saying, "Oh, we want to put together a let's just say, you'll see it, but a water supply thing here." And they show this land that they've done nothing with. But they're like, yeah, we got to sit down and, well, they could be going to AI, take a picture of that, literally that property, that area, and AI and tell them, I want to install a blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever they know the languages of their system,
Yeah.
and tell AI to act as a, architect of this, and it will literally design whatever they need. You can get it to give you supply list, everything.
Yeah. I've seen some videos like that. Other people doing it.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like if you watch this and anybody who's listening, if you look up that group, the Eco Village or whatever I called it, the Rabbit Village, they have stores, they have stores there, like a general store. They have a main house, like a central main house.
Okay.
But they don't have, so I am basing my village off of, well, the central hub of it is the healing center slash spa environment. Like it's like going to have restaurants in it, a place to relax, whatever. It's going to be a whole big thing. And what I envision, so I'm just saying this in contrast to what other villages are doing in the new earth. So I'm really seeing this. This is why I was asking about Hawaii and the Lumeria and the Stargate 12 and all of that. Because so the Lumerians, they live in Mount Shasta. Do you know that?
No,
That
I've
they're
never.
like, yeah. So I guess Mount Shasta, there's a vortex there, and it's said that the Lumerians live there, that they're living there, and all these things happen. But the Lumerians, I believe that I'm from there. Like I've got to be because I'm like naturally following their diet, which they just eat like soups and fresh fruit.
Soup's my favorite.
Yeah, that's all I eat is fruit. and soup, which is basically juicing, hot juicing, right? Um, and they are all about mixing, and they live like this. They mix the Garden of Eden with technology. So that's how our village will be. The technology is what is going to be. See, I want to sit around, I don't sit, but I want to be around creating like making soap and making, I don't know, jewelry. Like right now I'm looking into making the seraphim jewelry and these with these crystals and all this. And I would love to just be in my village of other creators, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, so it's like you live in a house. Like I want the houses to be however everybody wants. So one of the things in that like I want to get your take on this, Nick. One of the things in that those people that they mentioned in that village I was talking about is that they all live, they basically have someone come in. So let's say you're like, you're like Nick. Nick wants to go in and live at, because you could go live there right now. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so it's a village, literally like what I'm talking about, but they've been doing it since 1993. But the original people don't live there now and run it. And they run it with all these committees and subcommittees, and they're like, they love that managing of people. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No way. So one of the things, like I know there has to be a man, like an overseeing, but we're kind of doing it, showing it in the reality shifters. It's our virtual village. If
Okay.
everything was physical in that group, like I have the 5D businesses that you could shop at, even though I don't have all of them because they're all around. But you know what I mean? Like it's like stores that you'll be able to wake up in the morning, go to get your Celtic salt or whatever. It's like I want to have like the spices, like where you have like bins of spices,
Oh yeah.
like a beautiful spice shop, a beautiful tea shop. Like we're going back to the future.
Yeah, that's where I want to go.
Doesn't that sound so cool? And it's like our house. So I wanted to contrast it because people who will watch it might know about that village or other villages. So one of the things that they mentioned in there, um, they all have these small houses, like little kind of like tiny houses that they put together with like straw, like they make these kind of eco houses. And they all live close together. They just have somebody says they want to move in there, and then they're responsible for creating the kind of house that they want within the parameters of what the group, the sustainability housing and that kind of thing. Like someone, but their houses actually are not. They want it to look like they have square houses.
Okay.
So they don't. So what I'm trying to get at is, well, one of their issues has been that they're too close together. The houses are close together, and that they wanted to have a way for everybody to not to like mingle, but be able to go to their houses and not have to feel like they have to mingle with each other or something. I don't know if that makes sense. So they built this community center, okay, with a community kitchen and like, and I can see that. And that's what I kind of think that this house is going to end up being. Like it's going to be the community center. So when I was listening to them, I had always had the vision where the people early on that get in on this that we're creating now, wherever we end up with, that we'll have like, let's say, like you'll have like 20 acres. Okay. You'll have 20 acres. So you can do whatever you want within the scope of obviously what we're doing on that 20 acres. What I'm saying is, I don't see it like the founding people, or that there will be some houses like people who want to live there like forever, like have their
Yeah.
forever place or for decades. That we won't be close together so that you can feel, because I know that you've got to be like this too. It's like you want a lot of time alone or whatever. You don't want to necessarily walk out of your house and always have to interact with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
I mean, I know it's weird to talk about this because it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's such a weird nuancy thing, but it's got brought up on that video in one of their videos. And so they built this community center and I was like, oh, that's exactly when I was thinking about this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have it where, we have however many, like lots of acreage in between, and each person that is like a founding person for this village, they have like a skill set that they're offering. So everybody who's in the village, ha- everything that they do is contributing to making the village run.
Yeah, I definitely.
Like if you have something that you make, or if your thing, you know, but as far as like having houses close together, because I'm thinking if I had staff that worked at the spa, for instance, they have an opportunity. I'll have so many houses, how many X amount of houses that will have like little clusters of tiny homes, but they're going to be all round, we're not
Yeah.
having like hobbit houses. Like,
Okay.
and that's a whole thing. I have a guy in Tennessee that builds these. I'm like, oh my gosh. So like we'll have like a hobbit village for that will be like the staff housing for the
Okay.
people who work at wherever they work at the spa, they work at the restaurant, they work wherever. And they have an option, like, you know what I mean? Like a single person or a person or two people that want to, that they're not necessarily going to live in the village as far as like have a whole farm and an industry to create something for the village. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, so I'm just thinking about all that stuff and I can see it all coming together.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's
And
gonna be
it's
so.
like we're only, do you know, what do you think about this information? That the population, Elon Musk is posting this and all this, and I reposted a bunch of stuff that 85% of humanity on Earth is not real, is our NPCs. They don't have a soul, they're not spirit. So there's only going to be about 15%. So if you just look around your own area, it's
Yeah.
definitely less people than before 2020, isn't there?
Um, I mean, I haven't really noticed that too much. Not
Oh,
around me.
really?
No.
It feels like the same amount of people?
Yeah, about the same.
Well, it's not anywhere else.
Oh, really?
But and all, yeah, it's like the population, there's the school, the towns are all empty. There's all these towns are empty in America. There's so much space. They've given an illusion that there's people everywhere, by putting them all in one space, like in New York and stuff like that.
Okay.
Phew, excuse me. But yeah, the population is going to, as we go through this big planetary event, we're going to go through this planetary event, be on the other side of the grand central sun. There's only going to be a few of us. I mean, look at how when you're on, how is it if there is truly 8 billion people? How is it when you get on YouTube, for instance? Why is there only the same few people?
Huh. Yeah, I guess I never thought of that.
Like, why there's only like 10 people?
Yeah.
There's
Huh.
only a few people. So that it's like that's why they're doing this whole thing. Elon is like talking about reproducing, like all of the people that are left will be put back into shape and kind of around the age of 25 to 30, and then they're going to be tasked with repopulating. It's going to be another baby boom.
Yeah. So, what do you think is going to happen to all the NPCs or people that don't have a soul? They
Well, they
just
don't have a spirit. So, and in some videos you can see how they destroyed the NP, you can call them NPCs. They destroyed the NPCs. Um, they've done that through the years, through the history when they've taken over. Like there's this whole thing with I think it might have talked about that in the one video about the Lyrans, how the humanoids infected the Lyrans race, and it's basically humans with fur and all this, and it created all this weird problems, and so they had to separate themselves and they had to destroy those avatars. Um, so those avatars that aren't real, I guess, I guess I wouldn't really know, no, would I? But we do. I don't know. I just think that they're being destroyed, but energy, true soul energy cannot be destroyed. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. Like all I care about is like what's going to happen to us,
yeah,
or
definitely.
knowing that we're going to go through, like what are we going to do? Who are we? Like you figuring out who you are. That is such a big deal. And you know how you're saying like, it's like you're saying in that text message about how it's like you're starting to get this knowing, but did you spend some time like you didn't know if that was true? Like, am I really thinking this? Is this really real?
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
went through that where I was like, am I or am I being influenced by something? But then if you're not watching anything else, like I don't watch anything or listen to anything else as far as, like somebody, one of the 10 people, like Bashar isn't talking to me.
Oh, the ball guy.
Yeah, I was just giving an
Oh,
example. Because you know how people say they channel so and so and they
you
got
listen to his
this.
stuff?
What's up?
You listen to his stuff?
Well, I mean, I listen to it in and of that someone might send me his video.
Yeah,
And back, let's say in 21, when I was realizing this information, I listened to him. But now I don't because I don't want information from compromised beings. His
yeah,
information isn't pure.
yeah. It's kind of the feeling I get too.
Yeah. So see, you feel it. That's been part of the transition, right? Is like acknowledging that oh my God, I'm seeing this in somebody. But then the world listens to them and the world is okay with it. And so when did you get like, like getting to that point where like you realize that you're separating and that you have your own unique thoughts that are higher than Bashar's, and you know it. You're starting to know it.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's all those people coming out that have these knowings. Like we're all starting to awaken. And I just forced myself to come out with this, even though I don't know if it's right, you know? But who's saying that Bashar is right? And what is it being right about? The fact of the matter is, we're going through a transition. We're going to the human, I like to say human 3.0. I kind of feel like I feel like I've like jumped a couple leaps. So it's like the human 3.0 is what we're going into 25, 26, 27. Let's say we're getting our abilities in, and you're getting your abilities in more than you ever have just in these last couple weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Like
definitely
what,
feel
tell me
complete.
some of the things you've been experiencing that have just been like, wow. Even though I know they might seem subtle, they're not.
So this week was actually kind of annoying because I was getting like all the numbers like 11, 11, 4, 4, 4, like just back to back at least like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
That was getting annoying, but
Oh, it was?
yeah, it was funny.
See, I see the numbers that I see, which are part of the new coding, is I do see 111 and that kind of thing still. and I notice it, like I tend to do, like I'll send somebody a text right at 11:11. But I'm really seeing like 611, 311, 211, 411, 911. I see 911. I was seeing 911 every single day
Yeah.
for the last couple months up until maybe the last week or so. But that's all part of the new timeline. Well, on Monday was the first time, like I'm still like processing it, so I haven't talked to the group and I've only told a couple people. But I saw a portal open up in my bedroom on Monday.
Really?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
So it I even drew it. What?
What did it look like?
So and this what happened was it's like we are about to go to bed and I was like I guess I had closed my eyes, but I don't know. I was just looking forward and it's pitch dark. Oh, look, I tried to draw it. I tried to draw it here because I was trying to show the perspective. But
Oh,
so this is so dramatic. I look up, I'm just looking up into my room and I have an Alaskan king bed. Okay. It's a huge bed.
yeah.
And it's got four frames, corners on it that we built. And so it's like I'm just looking into the space. And all of a sudden, I see this. It's like about this big, like if you could make your hands as big as you can, because I know it's a
Okay.
little bigger than my hands. It was like this, like it was opening up and it was kind of flashing, but I could see like the edges. I don't know, like you see the wall. I don't know. I could see the edges. And I was like, what is that? What is that? Do you see it? Do you see it? What do you see? What are you doing? What are you doing? Look, 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 look. I was literally like, I'm still actually like this, but I was like, look, and he's just like, oh, because he's still got a little bit of, I think he still has, he does. He has these entities that want to still minimize that this is really happening or that I'm happening or whatever. So he was like, there's nothing. And I'm like, and I'm like, what is that that I'm seeing? And I look like I could see the ocean. I could
Okay.
see the ocean. And then I think I saw yellow flowers. Like I was seeing almost like a picture frame, but it was an oval shape. And I was starting to kind of like smell it, like, and I'm like going forward. And then all of a sudden, there was this huge white spark light in the corner of my room that flashed, and then this loud sound like something fell and dropped and broke. I
Thank.
am like yelling at this time. And
Yes.
Derek is like, he goes, it's not. I go, what's that flash? I go, is there a fire extinguisher? The fire, whatever the thing that tells you that there's a fire that goes off, fire alarm. I was like, is there a fire alarm above in the corner of our room? Is that what the flash was? And I go, what was it? What is it? What is it? What is this? And the portal had closed at this time. Right when that white spark came, the portal was going, the white spark came, then the portal was gone. And I am begging Derek to turn his cell phone on and shine a light into the corner of our room.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't. This is just so weird. Like I'm fighting with his spirits. I'm like, turn it on. I'm
Did you
like,
see?
I want to see. And he goes, it's don't. He goes, no. He goes, it's just Sunny. Sunny is our white Maine Coon. And he jumps up on there and he's huge and he has all this static electricity that we can see,
Yeah.
at night. So he said, he goes, it's Sunny. He just jumped up there and knocked something off. Calm down, that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, he didn't. No, Sonny is at the end of the bed. I guarantee it. And he
Yeah.
wouldn't isn't this weird? He would not do it. So I took my cell phone, I grabbed it finally off my nightstand and shined the light. Nick, there is no fire extinguisher up there, no fire thing. Nothing fell, nothing to break, nothing.
And it was just like a big flash of light, or
Yeah, white. Like, is that crazy?
yeah.
Like, I'm just like, oh my God. And I started bawling.
Really?
I started and speaking, I actually sounded the way I did. I recognized it. My voice was the way it was when I was delivering Natalie. Because my higher self, like this whole thing happened when I delivered Natalie. It was just like this guttural, like, oh my God, this is real. I can't believe this is happening. And I was crying and I was just like shaking. And then Derek's like holding me. I'm like, you don't need to hold me. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not upset. I'm just like, oh my God. That's why I was doing that.
Yeah,
That was just on Monday.
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, Nick, we got to talk. We got to talk. Like, what's going on with you? What's happening? Because this is getting real.
Oh yeah.
Real, 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 real. Like, I don't want to spend any more time in the, in the 3D world talking about like, oh, we got to quit our jobs or, oh, people are doing this. And now after seeing that, I already had that incident too in my bathroom, right? You know about that thing in my bathroom that I saw. You never heard this
With
story?
Natalie or
Huh?
what's that?
Yeah, the one that happened earlier before this portal thing. It happened like 2 months ago. But there was this black. Okay, I guess you didn't hear it. Are you there, Nick? Okay, sorry, we took a little break there for a minute because we had an internet thingy happen that always happens. But we were just talking about the paranormal stuff that's happening in our lives, starting to happen. Are you having anything like that? Have you had any kind of,
Uh, I mean, not really. I guess
I
just
guess
my
just
ability.
feeling these energies, you're feeling them more.
Oh yeah, that definitely went way up. It's almost like I'm on a drug sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like we're like on acid or something, you know?
Yeah,
And we're all just like, I don't know, I just feel like we're accepting it. Like we're not talking about it, but it's weird. And it's like, what's going on?
yeah,
What's going to happen in the future? Do you ever get nervous a little bit? Like just, I mean, just, I don't know how you are, like just thinking about your kids or your life or your family or whatever's going to happen. It's like, we know it's going to be okay, but sometimes it is a little breathtaking.
I mean, not really. I have a really good, strong intuition, so they like always kind of tell me like it's always going to be okay. Like I know where we're going, so and I
Yeah.
know I don't learn all this information for nothing. So
Well, and plus I look at it like we're going through the hardest part right now.
yeah,
Our lives have been in this slave way, this way. And so that's going away. That's
okay.
going away.
Hmm.
And it's like in the in between time, I mean, it's like stuff like basic things that they try to scare you with, that are going on in your 3D life. That kind of stuff, like just not knowing how it's going to be. Like I have people that are real estate agents and they're seeing the changes and they get scared because they're like, oh, I'm not going to be a real estate agent anymore. What am I going to do? And and their life is defined by their being a real estate agent or whatever their job is. And that is all going to change for every one of us, that our true identity is not going to be in that we're a mom or we work here or we work there. That's like how like I don't even really know where you work. You know how I never talk about that with anybody? I
Yeah,
never say like, oh, or ask about your job or whatever. Because that's like what used to define people. It's like, oh, that's what you do. And then we make a judgment on the person, you know, on how valuable they are based on
yeah.
what they
I'm not like that at
do.
all. So yeah,
Yeah. And I love that that is changing and that we're going into a different direction. And that's what I love about our group is that everybody is completely different from each other. but everybody it feels like they belong.
Yeah, definitely.
I have so many people that text me and message throughout the time that say, it's the only place I feel like I can just be myself, because I don't judge anybody, because I want everybody. And sometimes that can be people think to our detriment. That's one thing I found with the cards. I made a video talking about these Phoenix cards. Well, this book, it's a book with cards. And it's by Susan Shepard. So it's reading and interpreting past life influences with the Phoenix deck. Um, but I did a whole session. I hadn't even picked up this book. I've had this book for over a year, but whenever I tried to open it in this year, I just haven't been able to absorb it. But I picked it up the other day, and it's a whole thing to find out. And the reason I got it was like I'm in this exploration to find out who I am, like literally who I am. And I finally sat down, and it's like the whole book opened up, and the cards revealed information about myself that I didn't even, that it's like I knew. Like it tells you how people see you, how people are responding to you and why. And like for me, it's all about containing, learning to control my dragon energy, and like because it scares people, and it's like the situation that we had on Monday in our group on the 25th with those women. Well, one woman, but it was really three different women that were causing issue. Um, but they all left the group, uh, and they never should have been. Like I had people that were like that want me to parse out everybody who joins the group, and then if I see something or hear something or do something that I want, like they need to be banned from the group. But I like to give enough rope for people to hang themselves.
Yeah.
And so then they leave the group on their own because they
Were they new?
realize what's that?
Were they new?
Well, the one gal wasn't new. She's been with me for a year and a half. As far as like talking to me, and she had joined our group a while ago last year, and I was doing meditations on Sundays, which I still want to do. But she hated them, and she would tell me, "Oh, nobody likes the meditations." And I just thought that I was giving her the benefit of the doubt that she wasn't just in the group to find out about the money. Because, people think that I know about the money. I do know about the money, but I'm not about the money. But there's all these videos of me where it looks like I talk about the money. So she was really in the group thinking that all the stuff when Trump got, quote, elected, I don't even like to say it because that's not what happened, but
Yeah.
whatever. When he went through the thing on January 20th, her and other people in our group, they all thought, oh, everything was just going to be like all of a sudden they were just going to get a bunch of money. It was so
Yeah.
weird. And so they were all angry about that because they're listening to my information purely for money.
That's sad.
Well, and they don't realize. And so that one person thought that the group, like, she's like, oh, the group doesn't care about you. They care about the money, Monica. And it's just like, no, no. And that was proven once something happened in our group in front of everybody because she decided to make it a show. Um, Everybody came out in support of each other, and in support of me and what I'm doing. And so I didn't need to do anything. I don't need to. And people were surprised. They're like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't get into it, that you just shut it down. You're so like calm and chill about it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because this isn't about me. This is not about me. This isn't about insulting me. And people were already upset. I mean, one gal, she had just joined Reality Shifters that moment, that day, and went into the group, into the live to
Really?
see what it was about. And that was her first impression, which you didn't see it because you weren't on the call, right?
No.
Yeah. And I didn't post it because I wasn't going to post it and make it, that would have created it all over again.
Yeah. She stick
But
around?
Well, I just didn't post it. It like once it
Oh,
was ready to post, I just didn't. But the thing was, is that I was happy that that happened because all of whatever was supposed to happen in the group, and in your life is going to get cleared out. It's just if we want to go with the flow and make it, it just made all of us closer and got us all more. It's like, we need to get people out that aren't wanting to do this high level work, you know?
yeah, definitely.
Because for a while there, like whether it be through TikTok videos or whatever my information, I was trying to curtail it towards the people that I thought like wanted to, but then us, like you and other people, as we're rising, the information needs to rise, and those are the people that I want to, they'll stay. And I'm not trying to get anybody to stay or leave because there's only a few of us.
Yeah. How many
That's
people are in the group?
There is like, it comes up as 86 people, but I don't know if that includes me. So there's like 85 people, and that comes, it's fluctuates. And then I have the Reality Shifters group on X that I just made a community. It's just a landing spot, and there's more people in that group, but that's because you just join it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think the group's just a landing place. I'm just gonna see what happens if we're gonna continue because I'm really hoping that we're all gonna be starting to actually get together and start being able to make physically change. Um, but I don't know. I just don't know. I'm gonna see if we're gonna continue this group on, next year as far as having it virtual. But I
Yeah.
like having it because it's a like I'm doing lots of things from the group. So the humanitarian projects, and the group could be more and more active if more people, the people that were in the group were utilizing it, like posting their business ideas or asking people like, "Oh, I'm thinking about making jewelry. Does anyone know?" Like, I don't know. It's like whatever is going on with people, it's like every single time that somebody posts something, it's like Kelly posts something and she mentions something, the gal with the birds. She posts something, she'll mention a book or whatever, then I'll like go and look that book up and it sends me into a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
and a whole nother odyssey of information. And so I love having it. Whereas on TikTok, it's more scattered, and I feel like TikTok is supposed to be a place for us to find each other and then connect in a bigger way. So what
Yeah.
do you have planned for this year? Let's say the next, 3 to 6 months. What are you feeling like hoping?
Um, I'm not too sure. Like, hopefully, I'm not working anymore. That's a big plus.
Okay, so you're still working at your job.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your job is going to go away in some way, or you will walk away from it? Or,
If I'm still working there in probably 6 months, I'll probably just walk away.
okay, so you got kind of like a plan, or
Yeah.
you're starting to think like, okay, I can't keep on doing this because I don't like it, but
Yeah.
it's not going away. And that is something though that people that we constantly have this discussion because I had to walk away. Then I walked away from my job when it made no sense, like, 3D sense and
Yeah.
no sense, CENTS, 7 years ago or so now. And that was really scary. And there was just like a year and a half into it. I'm like, oh, I better go back to work and look for another job. And I did actually apply for a job doing account executive work again for a skincare job recently that would fly me all around the East Coast or move me around the East Coast again. But I'm just like wondering, just like you, like, okay,
Yeah. It can't go on for much longer.
Yeah, I mean, our house, like we had this whole thing we've been playing, getting out of the systems, not
Yeah.
being losers and not wanting to pay our bills, but getting out of the system, they behind our backs, they went and put our house set it up for auction. We only found out because a guy came to our house to look because he's like, what is this? And
Really?
he told us, he called us. He was standing outside of my gates and he called us. He's like, your house up for auction. What? So they're literally lying to us because we wanted to pay the money to get our loan caught up. If they weren't going to continue to give us the forbearance, we're like, we'll pay it. And they're like, oh no, you don't need to. You're fine. And all this. And the whole
Yeah.
time they're trying to steal our house. So yesterday we drove with the money in hand and got our house all set up. But now I'm sitting here like, okay, but we got to pay this. I guess we got to keep this charade going and pay the
Yeah.
mortgage every month. But something has to give.
Yeah.
My husband did talk to the quantum healing systems, which is so crazy. I was talking about it yesterday on a video and I was showing you guys, my little quantum healing discs, which I really like to show it. But anyway, the quantum healing system, it's like this little disc and it gives out this quantum wave, this healing wave, and I've been using them and I use them with the Genius Insight scan. Well, we had ordered a replicator from them, a food and drink replicator, and then they said, "Oh, we're updating it and we're going to release the frequencies in it and it will be able to replicate anything." And that's what we're all going to be getting those. But
Okay.
we purchased this back in September of 2024. Derek had just lost his job. His job was out of the Ukraine. He had just lost his job and we weren't really and I was actually at a retreat, uh a sound and frequency retreat and learn about my software and all this. And Derek's like, "Oh, well, we could buy this. They're having it where, 35 people can buy one." And he was thinking, well, we need it for this time.
Yeah.
Like, we can't, like, right now, all the food's poisonous, all this kind of stuff. Like, thank God we had a garden and we have our eggs, but now it's winter and it's like, there's no food. At
Yeah.
least for me, because I won't eat. I refuse to eat the food. So I just waste away. No, I do what I can. I make soup and do what I can. Um, But this replicator, so he called the company because we've still not gotten it. Turns out they said he talked to the CEO of the quantum healing systems, and they said that there's been some issues and that they're not safe, and they don't feel like they'll be ready for 7 months to a year.
Okay.
Well, we're like, because we would not have put out that money. And the credit card that we had put it on, that credit card's been closed because whatever. So they're going to be refunding us though, but they're going to refund us, they said. And they were asking Derek what he thinks they should do and all this. And then when they were talking to him, they were saying, "Well, we need to hire people. We need somebody with your skill set." And so they're actually looking at potentially um Derek's going to talk to him about working there. And I was like, well, did you mention me?
Yeah.
Like, because I could run the whole, like, they need marketing help. They need stuff. They don't
Yeah.
understand how to get it out. Um, and they also don't have this higher mindset of health and healing because when you listen to the quantum healing system videos, so you can listen to them on YouTube, the people just talk about their ailments and talk about their diabetes and all that. But these people, they have well, what we refer to as the med beds, but it's not. It's quantum healing technology. They have the quantum healing system.org people have a med bed called a quantum arc. And they
Okay.
were telling Derek about it, that it's like you'll get this disc. Now, just for everybody listening or whatever, like this is just, we're just talking. Okay. Like, I don't know if, this is just like because when you work for quantum healing systems, you get to go. And also, we had bought this huge healing device that hooks up to the Starlink satellite. We had bought it from them with the replicator, but we haven't gotten that either. We're waiting for it. And I
Okay.
wanted to use it on my group, on the group that I was going to form, and I did form. But they said that it's like a disc. So I'm telling you about this. Like, this is crazy. It's a teleporting situation. Kind of freaks me out. So you get some kind of disc that sets down on like your nightstand. And I don't know if it connects with you or something. I'm kind of envisioning it kind of like the silver cord that keeps us from completely leaving our body, not coming back.
Okay.
So your soul, your spirit teleports some. Doesn't this freak you out? You're like, I need to know more about this before I'm doing something like this. It's like your soul goes, this is this quantum arc through the quantum healing system, that it's like a disc. And it's like your soul, this frequency goes in and then connects, I guess, up to Starlink or something, creates a healing pattern, and then it comes back down. But there's also something that connects you so that you come back.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos like that.
Yeah. But we can go through the med beds in our sleep, like before we go to bed. Do you know that you can envision being in the med beds and
Oh, really?
get healing? Yeah, you can get healing. So I actually did do that through a guy, of course they were selling a thing, Pete and Roxy, but they did this whole thing and it was real. Um, where they put me on the med beds, like they said, like we're calling in the med beds. We're calling in the med beds, we're doing all this stuff. And then they put me through this healing. And I could feel it. It was crazy. I was crying, like, because I could feel the divine. Like, I know that feeling because I live in it now. And that is a feeling that we're getting to, is connecting with the divine. And that is all the getting into the talk about the med beds and all of that. That's such a big topic. Do you talk to anyone like everybody wants to, like, oh, when the med beds come in and they think they're sitting there with their big gulp Slurpee, and their cigarettes or whatever. I just want those
Yeah.
med beds. You know what I'm talking about? How people are
Yeah.
like that. And it's like, no, the med beds do not heal consciousness. They don't heal consciousness. So you have to, and your consciousness is stored in your brain, your computer. You've got to change the way you believe in your belief systems, and you can actually heal now completely.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been putting my husband through, and I've been put through myself through, and everybody has. If you go back even just 1 year, you could see the transition of I once I learned that information. You are your own med bed. You have more power in you than the best med bed ever.
Yeah,
One
that's what I
human.
did about 4 years ago. I figured out that information. It's also kind of like the placebo effect where you like thinking is believing. Like I haven't been sick in 4 years, so
Yeah, see, because well, when you're up a high enough frequency, you don't get sick.
yeah.
You can't. So think about, like, how, when 10 years ago, it was like, oh, it's cold season. You're like, yeah, every fall I always get this cold.
Yeah.
You know how we would say that?
Hmm.
Or whatever you said, but we had this thing of, like, we would see people, they're sick. And it's like, oh, I hope I don't get sick. It's like when my daughter, she goes in and she goes to a forest school. It's a forest. They do school in the forest, and she goes there twice a week.
Hmm.
All the kids, some of the kids, or the majority of the kids, they don't know this information, and so they're still, like, they get sick. They're kids that get sick, and it's just like they'll say something like, "Oh, if your kid's sick, don't bring them in, or don't do this," or somebody will get mad because some kid is sick, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, Nat can
Yeah.
come whether you're sick or not. It has no bearing on her frequency.
Does she get sick at all?
No.
No.
She only gets sick when she's been poisoned by like red dye candy. When because and she'll throw up. She gets sick instantly when she's given. One of those was with the TBHQ, which is a chemical that they put in Cheez-Its, Goldfish, Doritos, Cheetos, like any of that orange
Yeah.
stuff. They
Hmm.
put this, and it's basically jet fuel. And the TBHQ is in a lot of foods. So all kids that are running around with like respiratory, like they have like that like gutter, they have that
Yeah.
guttural kind of talk or
Hmm.
raspy. They all have raspy voices. They have their noses are full of snot. You know what I mean? They're not breathing. They are not taught to breathe through their nose. That's another thing. Um, that TBHQ is in the goldfish and it's making kids all have asthma. They think they have asthma. Asthma's up. It's because of that particular chemical. So we discovered that now 2 years ago because she was going to a private Montessori school.
Okay.
And they had a garden at the school and they had all the trappings. They're not real Montessori because real Montessori is just how you should parent. It's like your kids, they live outside, they learn practical stuff from 0 to 7, and they don't sit at a desk and learn rot memorization. I
Yeah.
mean, but that school, and it's here in the South, because in the South, they have no awareness of this information. No awareness. They bring in pizza and they bring in Chick-fil-A.
There's 50 chemicals in those birds.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
50 chemicals.
And their snack that they were bringing, so they brought in Chick-fil-A, the older kids, because the school goes up to like, I think it goes up to 12th grade. I'm not sure. Uh, but the older kids got to order, once a week or twice a week. I mean, you can imagine this in high school or whatever. They get to order from Chick-fil-A and they bring it into the school. And I saw that when we were doing the training, and I'm just like keeping my mouth shut because I definitely wasn't like I was now. This was when we first moved here, 2021. I was just starting, but I've always been into the food and known the food, and that's why I'm certified in this. But I didn't know that was sinister like I know now,
Oh yeah.
and that it's literally killing the kids. And I hadn't connected this whole TBHQ thing. Well, they were giving her the Cheez-Its or Goldfish. That was like they had a huge Costco box, a huge
Yeah.
Costco box of it sitting there. Like you could just see it, when they get their orders in for the school from
Yeah.
Costco or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. But then Nat started throwing up at school. And we would have to take her home, and then she couldn't go to school for 24 hours. And I'm like, she does not get sick.
Yeah.
So what's going on? And they're just looking at me like they thought, oh, it's okay. Like you're a mom, like you want to think like your kid doesn't get sick. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm telling you. Like I understand that whatever. It's like they don't understand. They're not at this level of consciousness, and they are just like, oh, it's okay. She's just got sick. You just keep her home. And I'm just like, no. And then I found out that they were feeding her this goldfish. And I'm like, you guys, I told them this when I picked her up. I'm like, listen, she is sick because of this chemical and it's GMO and the bodies don't recognize it. Like I said all this, and it's just like you could just see them like, oh God. They're like, okay, Miss Anderson, if you don't like it, you can have her bring her own snack. And I'm like, but this is beyond. The whole class is being poisoned.
Yeah.
And she is going to sit there all day. And they had her standing in lines, like I'd go pick her up and like I'd be there half hour early. So you could see the whole campus.
Okay.
And they have them standing in lines and doing all the things, just like a parochial school. And that's how it is here. homeschooling here in the South, they don't. They'll say they homeschool, but it's all about setting up the kids to just copy what they're doing at the public schools. This whole idea of raising your kids where they just sit at a desk and learn and don't go by their passions. How do you see the new schools? Like, I just see it where I want to have like just all these different areas set up. Like, it's like music. I don't know. It's like just different areas set up. And then the kids just go towards their passion and they'll learn to read, write, and do whatever within that passion, you know?
Just have a whole bunch of things just set up:
Yeah.
music, food, learning, nutrition, like everything.
Gardening,
Yeah,
music, all the
art.
STEM stuff like science, like quantum physics, the sacred geometry, which are the three topics that Christ was talking about. It was the sacred geometry, the spiritual, how do you live? How do you live spiritually in this? And really understanding the sacred geometry and putting together the different frequencies to make the life that you want to live in. If we can have all of our little kids learn that, we won't have to reverse teach them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that with Nat right now. I don't know where your kids are going to school, but like she does go to this forest school twice and she's 6. So I still feel like I have time, but I really want her to be in some kind of quantum, like have like this, like a school, like something where she's really learning this stuff. They're putting all the quantum stuff up here in South Carolina. So it seems like they would have something for the kids, you
Yeah,
know?
that'd be nice. Yeah.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. I mean, I know it's like I always say, you know how I'm always like, oh, I'm going to make a school. And I do. I want to do all this. But I realize like there's got to be a team of people that are going to be doing this
Oh
because
yeah.
I can't do this all, right? I can't do this all. And it's like with you waking up and like whatever your passions are, like I can't wait to see what you're going to do. Like what kind of things are you kind of leaning towards or thinking that you'll be doing?
Um, I really like herbs and stuff. I'm really good at music too, so I mean, I'm really smart, so like I pick up things really easy.
Yeah. So see, that all fits in with it's like we all love these plants and we all love music. So that's all we'll be doing. We'll just be creating this and living our life and enjoying it. That's the thing that I think that it's like I still have to click over. Like we're gonna be getting up and just enjoying what we love to do, whatever that is. It's gonna be music, art, and our kids are gonna be coming right along with it. So it's going to be interesting to see the changes as they continue to happen in these next few months because January, February, March should be completely, they've already, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
they've already been crazy. But I'm really hoping that the big reveal and like whatever it is, we keep on like alluding to like there's something that's just going to really because I can't believe we're seeing UFOs, we're seeing orbs, and we did a class on orbs months ago, a year ago, whatever. Like we've been talking about this forever. Now we've got the regular mainstream people talking about it, and it doesn't even seem like it's a big deal.
What do you think they are?
Well, I mean, the orbs are just information. They're plasma information, and they can shapeshift into different things. I mean, I have them all in front of my house.
Okay.
So I think that people can talk to them, get information. Okay, so they're bringing in basically it's like the central sun gives off all these they're basically thoughts or electrical fields that go down, electrical frequencies that go down, and then they go into the human, and the human gets illuminated into ideas to create the new world.
Okay.
Okay, and then what's happening is everybody's getting illuminated right now into what they should be doing, right? And there's a tension involved if you're not doing it. You know how you were saying, like, okay, if in 6 months, if I'm still working here, I'm going to have to really look at that. because
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing that. And you know that it's taking you away from your pure happiness, right?
Oh yeah.
But you have these electrical thought, anything electric is comes from humans. It's from it's thoughts that are not real. They're basically human thoughts that we're trying to take human thoughts to shape our spirit. And it doesn't work. Does it make sense what I just said? It's like all of these thoughts, they're jumbled around because we have 3D thoughts, we have higher, all these different thoughts that are coming out of the sun. Okay, it's like electrical impulses and they're coming out of the sun. We absorb them in our field. They're not, we have to decipher what is our thoughts and what is your spirit's thoughts. And the way we know that a thought isn't ours, like I'm going to stay at my job for 6 months, even though I want to, like, I hate it and it kills my spirit. Okay. That thought, that's not your soul's thought. That's not Nick's thought. You're not even Nick. That's not even your name. I don't know what your real name is. I'm trying to find my real name, by the way. But that's not your spirit's thought. Your spirit doesn't, there is no need to go to work. There is no need to. We were programmed to believe that. And I mean, when Derek first lost his job or the company closed, wherever you want to say it, uh, it was like immediate, like, oh my God, I got to get a job. Start thinking of his family being homeless, like all these visions. And it's like, but those aren't, no, 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 no. That's not real. Those aren't real. You're going to create it into reality because you're going to take those thoughts as your own and then you're going to create that.
Yeah.
But that's what that tension is that we walk if we're not in flow. That's why I never know what time it is or what day it is or anything. I have to constantly look it up if I want to know. Because I'm living in flow. This is why I talk to people like right now, like we've been talking for however long. I've been talking. I talk to people. I think I talked to them for 20 minutes. They're like, we've been on the phone for 2 hours.
That's funny.
And then they always say, and I have people say, oh, well, I don't want to talk to you, Monica, because I don't want to be on the phone for 2 hours. Like, I'm like, rude. I'm like, I don't talk to you for 2 hours. And they're like, yeah. So then I know, well, that person isn't in flow. Like, because the people who talk to me for 2 hours, they don't even know that we've been talking for 2 hours. The people that want to talk about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just exciting time and it's exciting to see what our kids end up doing. And just that's what I'm focused on and just keeping myself centered and being here for everybody in the group, you know,
Yeah.
and getting our stories out. Did you
So
want to say?
what do you know about the M on your hand? Have you looked
Oh,
at it?
it's so funny how those. So one thing is that like yeah, I have the M on both hands, which you probably have it on both hands too, don't you?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's on both. I think it's on everybody's.
Oh,
But I noticed like on the I mean, I think it's on if you have it, it's on both.
oh, okay.
Because everybody I talk to say that. Yeah, I have it on both. I don't know. It's just more things like your palm, the frequency of your, they say that the people with the M, listen, I just don't go by that stuff too much because I feel like it creates like this separation between us in a way of like, oh, well, I have this and what does this mean? And it just kind of helps you determine who you are because you're
Yeah.
definitely like you're definitely like an ancient being. It's not like your first time you've been around here. So I feel like if nothing else, that's what that shows you. You can go into a whole history about it. They show the Scorpio. So I'm Scorpio and they always show the tail. And I actually ordered I think it's a hair clip or something that has the Scorpio on it. And then the tail always goes into an M.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because you're creating that. I always think about it as this like, because the Scorpio, it's like creating the magnetism. It's like we're harnessing the magnetism of the earth and we transmute it and bring it back out. So I like to say that the M stands for that.
Okay.
But you know how you can see that, like on X, people post. Actually, this morning I was going to send it to you, but I was like, no, we probably already seen that. But there's these little memes that go around that tell you about that M on your hand.
What did it say?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
No, because I'd already read it before. It just tells you that you somehow have like ancient knowledge and you're able to read people better than other people and all this. And I just say that everybody can, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Everybody can. Just like there's a thing about people that have a scar in the middle of their forehead,
Okay.
okay? Like right here. So I
Hmm.
have one of those and like somebody pointed that out once and I was like, "Oh, well, I always thought it was from chicken pox." That I like picked at chicken pox. But then when I saw that and they told me that, I went back and looked and I've had it since I was born. Um, so I think it just gets you closer to finding out like your origins of who you are,
Yeah.
your genetic origins. I don't know. I don't know. That's all the fun stuff that we research in between
Yeah.
talking, kind of seeing what it means and what it means to us personally. And is it going to make us a better creator or create more? You know, is it going to bring us more towards our mission by knowing this or focus on it? That's what I
Yeah.
always think about things like that. Well, I don't want to keep you, Nick, but I'm glad that you came and that we
Yeah.
talked.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the future and seeing what the future brings and, the changes that you bring and all of the stuff. So,
Yeah, it's definitely be exciting.
yeah, really exciting. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video and then we'll close up. But thanks everybody for listening to the podcast. And we gave lots of different information, but we're all just trying to figure this out together and what this podcast really is about. Because, I could come on the podcast and like Nick and I could have, or whoever I'm with, we could have some topics and go into deep about what different things mean and all of that. But what I'm really wanting to do is I'm really wanting to get into people's soul and talk about how this experience, how is it transforming them, and getting into people's heart. So that's what we saw a little bit more of what Nick's going through and a little bit more of my heart. And so we're just all coming together. So even if you're not part of my community, but you're watching this, you're part of humanity. You are part of what we're doing here and why we're even on here. I wouldn't be doing this podcast if humanity wasn't here, because it's definitely not for my ego to just like be on here, to be on a show and to get followers. It's to genuinely help you guys see how we're all going through this and how our highs and lows of it, and how we're transforming.
All
So
right.
thank you. Everybody have a great day.